Natalie Valle
Yes.
is joining us today on LATV.com, and we're going to be talking about yoga. Now, Natalie is going to be teaching, and she's going to be taking part at Bhakti Fest, which is this amazing festival that I always go to. It's in Joshua Tree, California, a little after Labor Day, and it's focused on yoga and kirtan music and meditation and spiritual transformation and all that amazing stuff. So I want to begin this conversation with asking you what you think about the way a lot of this stuff, call it, for lack of a better term, new age spiritual stuff, yoga, and it's become very popular over the past few years. How do you think that's going? Are there any pros and cons?
It's really beautiful because this is actually my first year presenting at Bhakti Fest. And it's really such a big honor because, to your point, I think the Latine community is starting to get a lot more involved in wellness, not only as an active participant, but also as a practitioner. There are so many wellness, mindfulness practitioners that are Latine, Latinx, that perhaps haven't really had the platform before or have been elevated in that way. And it's wonderful to see wellness become this trend, all these I think the term new age is so funny because so many of them are rooted in such ancient practices, a lot of them indigenous practices, a lot of them from the Latinx indigenous communities as well. So it's really wonderful to see people just getting more in touch with their sense of self, with their spirituality, which impacts every area of their lives. I think, especially in the Latinx community, wellness and bienestar hasn't always been prioritized. And now there is this sentiment around it's important, and it's also a part of the culture for Latinos communities as well, not just, the traditional folks that you see on Instagram and Pinterest.
Well, yeah, and as someone I went to my first Bhakti Fest in 2013. A friend just invited me there. I had done yoga like at the gym and maybe a few like kind of like legit yoga classes, which I loved. But I didn't understand what kirtan was, or didn't understand meditation and some of these other aspects and modalities and stuff like that. So when from the time that I went 10 years ago to now, it's amazing how the scene has become diverse and inclusive, and it's happened very organically. But like you said, it's already kind of rooted in our culture already. So it makes sense to kind of gravitate back to certain things that are, even though like I use that term new age, it's actually very ancient. A lot of these are very, very old things. Tell me a little bit about what you're going to be doing at Bhakti Fest and some of the things that some of the modalities that you work in, because I saw on your website, Loving Alchemy, is that the website? Yes, that you offer a bunch of different things. So tell me about your work.
Absolutely. And I just have to give a shout out to Nancy Montes, who is the person responsible for recruiting a lot of the talent for Bhakti Fest. And wow, Bhakti Fest 10 years ago must have been such a vibe. I cannot even imagine, like, so organic, so earthy. I'm sure it's evolved since. And yeah, Nancy Montes is in charge of recruiting talent, and she's done such an excellent job of bringing diversity, not only from the perspective of different roots and heritage and raíces, but also diversity in modalities. So myself, I focus a lot in sound healing, sound therapy, sound baths, and I'm also very multifaceted, multi-hyphenate. I'm also a Reiki master. I am a Deepak Chopra meditation teacher certified meditation practitioner. I also am experienced with EFT tapping, emotional freedom technique, and of course, the gateway for most people, yoga. I'm also a 200-hour yoga certified teacher. And so combining all of these modalities has been really a gift in what I share, because yes, I share sound healing, but I also pull from my knowledge in the Vedics and the yoga philosophy and the energy healing component of Reiki, the neuro-linguistic programming and the way I guide meditation with EFT. So they all kind of combine into this offering, but I'm super excited to be sharing sound, which is my first love in all of these modalities at Bhakti Fest.
And so how do you do that? I've been to several kinds of sound baths. So explain to somebody what a sound bath is who hasn't been to one, and maybe the kind of different types of sound bath and sound healing you can offer for the people that might have only done one kind.
Totally. So in short, sound baths are just a form of meditation that utilizes sound and vibration created by different instruments to induce a deep state of relaxation. So from a scientific physiological perspective, what's happening is these instruments create frequencies that actually have the ability to influence brain waves to slow down. So when our brain waves slow down, we drop into the state of we're not really in our thinking mind, right? The to-dos, the anxieties, all the things that we're constantly thinking about begin to kind of take the back burner, and the mind begins to quiet, the mind begins to still, almost to a place where maybe we drop into the subconscious state. And a lot of times people will experience a sound bath and they're like, whoa, I wasn't sure if I was awake or asleep. They're kind of in that slower brainwave state that we know as theta. And so sound has also been proven to help reduce blood pressure, anxiety, stress. It helps improve sleep and memory. And so as we use meditation and sound healing as an antidote to stress, stress is correlated to nearly 80% of diseases today. And so modalities like sound can help be an antidote to stress, which has so many benefits physiologically, emotionally, mentally. And sound baths can be as simple as using a singing bowl, which I always have a few near me. So you can, use singing bowls, and these create really beautiful resonant harmonics. You can also have a sound bath with gongs, which are really cosmic. They mimic the sounds in the cosmos. So it's almost this like cosmic experience. You can do sound baths with your own voice. And so that's what I tell people. A lot of people think that you have to go to these super extravagant experiences to experience a sound bath. But in reality, most of us have access to the most powerful instrument known to humankind, which is the voice. And I say that because the voice is the only instrument that contains consciousness. And so if you use the power of your own voice to just even make a sound and release, it has so many healing benefits to the body. But yeah, at a sound bath, you can experience sound baths with singing bowls, with chimes, with gongs, and the experience is quite relaxing, and people even fall asleep, which you're still receiving the benefits. So if you do, that's fine as well.
Yeah, I've had some good ones. By the way, the way that you speak also has a very calming effect on me. I'm Cuban and I'm an Aries, so I need as much. I mean, I always tell people this is why I got
Fire!
into all this stuff. I needed to find some sort of center. So, and I'm working on it. So I'm doing well. How'd you get into all this stuff? If you don't mind giving me a little bit of your own personal background.
The story is really it's so serendipitous. It's so kismet, because I moved to Los Angeles 11 years ago, was working in sales and corporate, super kind of like driven work environment. And at one of the companies where I worked, I think a lot of people are realizing how important mental health is for employees within offices. And so the company that I worked for had a yoga teacher come and teach yoga 3 times a week. So in the middle of the day, I would go take yoga and then come back to my desk and get back to it. It was the best. And she became a mentor to me. And backtrack a little bit, I had cultivated a yoga practice just for myself, going to classes. About 12 years ago, I started. And so I already had my personal practice. I knew that I wanted to get my yoga teacher training to deepen my practice. And so I was saving up for that. And one day, this yoga mentor from my office came up to me and she said, "Hey, I'm doing this sound bath training over the summer and I'm taking it. And I just felt really called to invite you to take it with me, just to join me and do the training with me." And I thought, that's super random. I love sound baths, but I've never considered being a sound practitioner. I'll think about it. It was coming from her, someone I really valued and respected. And so I, went home. I kind of slept on the idea. And then I woke up the next day and I thought, I don't know why, but this feels like a full body yes. Those moments where it's like, this is a full yes. There's not a doubt in my mind. And then day one of that training, something was sparked within me. And I'm not exaggerating. My life completely changed 180 from that point on. And that was 5 years ago. And then I kind of went on to do all these other courses, certifications. So it's been a beautiful and super organic unfoldment that I can only attribute to the guidance of, whether you call it the universe or spirit or my higher self or God, whatever it is for you. It was something beyond my human intellect that kind of was guiding this whole journey.
That's amazing. Where did you move to Los Angeles from?
Florida. So
Did you grow up in Miami? Because I grew up in Miami.
did you? No,
Yeah.
I lived in Tampa. So I grew up in El Salvador, which is where my heritage is. Both my parents are from El Salvador. And then we moved to Florida when I was 12. I love Miami. And the Cuban food in Miami and Florida is, I mean, it's like as good as you can get without going to actual
Right.
Cuba, which is amazing.
Now, Florida could use a little bit more yoga, sound baths, and meditation, although it's starting to pick up here and there, right? Do you
Oh,
take any of that
yeah.
back? Do you ever go back home and visit family? And are you introducing them to some of this? And are they becoming more open to it as the years go by?
Totally, absolutely. And I will say, Miami has a really cool wellness culture that's growing there.
Right.
Tampa, I think it's like slowly catching up. But yeah, I think the access to social media has opened up so many opportunities for people to learn about new things that are out there that can help them. And I think coming out of quarantine and the pandemic, people are now more than ever seeking different tools that they can just have in their toolbox to feel better, to feel more connected. And that's the beauty of all these practices. So yeah, I definitely see them starting to pop up in Florida, in different Latin American countries too,
Yeah.
not just in LA.
Well, you're contributing to that. Have you ever been to Bhakti Fest?
I have not. I am such a big fan of kirtan, though. I love going to kirtan here in Topanga, and my husband, he chants kirtan. So kirtan is a big part of my practice, and so I just can't wait. I think it's going to be so epic to get to go for my first time and present and experience it. I feel truly honored.
Well, I gotta tell you, as a Bhakti veteran, it's my favorite festival. It is the
Wow.
best. I'd rather do Bhakti Fest than anything else. And I, I'm from, my friends are burners, and we do a lot of that, enlightening a bottle, and a lot of these festivals that offer you a lot of yoga during the day, and you can find your spots, but they're also a big festival, right? And there's, it's a party atmosphere. Bhakti's more focused on the modalities, and it's there's no alcohol, and it's a different vibe. Although there is a fun vibe at night, not only with the kirtan concerts that are happening that are amazing, and you're going to see them. I mean, especially if someone's going to be introduced to kirtan, Bhakti Fest is the place to do it. But they also have different tents with different kinds of musics, and it's just it's also intimate. It's the right size, and Joshua Tree is it's a holy sacred place. So and to teach, you have the opportunity to give in a way that I foresee you're going to receive something very beautiful. And so I think you're going to have a good time. I look forward to seeing you there.
Likewise, I really can't wait. And I think it's not lost on me that I'm going to be sharing these spaces with some of the biggest, most influential musicians and teachers in the yoga community. I mean, Krishna Das is such an influential person with kirtan, bringing it to the West, and people like MC Yogi, who you always hear MC Yogi's music, at yoga playlists. Soul Rising. I mean, I can't wait to flow to Soul Rising live, and yeah, just some really incredible teachers, Kia Miller and Govind Das. So yeah, I feel truly honored to be alongside this lineup of incredible teachers.
Yeah, and for people that don't know what kirtan is, like, what's kirtan? Well, it's a beautiful style of music that is, I guess you can say, rooted in Vedic. I mean, I use the word Vedic. You're going to see a lot of Hindu deities and all that stuff around, although it kind of brings it all together. But what you're going to see at Bhakti Fest is traditional kirtan, which comes out of India, I believe, would probably be the root place for this kind of music. And it's the music that you worship to when you sing mantras, right? Hare Krishna, Rama Rama, Rama Rama. Most people would know that one. But you also have a lot of like you mentioned, MC Yogi and Soul Rising, and I don't know if DJ Drez will be there this year. Yes.
I think so, yeah.
So you have people doing like a more urbanized electronic dance modern version influenced by kirtan. So you combine that at night. It's amazing. So it's really cool musically, and then during the day you have all-star yoga teachers. And as we started this conversation with, and we'll end it, talking about presenters like yourself doing sound baths as well. The community's become so diverse over the past decade. It really is worldly and international and multicultural, multi-ethnic, and you want to talk about harmonious. That's it. And I'm glad that you get to take part in that.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for sharing this with the community. I think, for those who aren't too familiar with the yogic terms, Bhakti is a form of yoga. And so Bhakti is the yoga of devotion. And so whatever devotion means to you, right? And the way in which Bhakti yoga expresses devotion is in chanting, thanking the earth, thanking spirit, thanking God. And so, yeah, it's the yoga of dancing and worship and song. And so I think it's going to be really beautiful. And I look forward to seeing you there.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And some of our viewers are probably going to join us too. We'll end on that note. Namaste, Natalie.
Namaste. Thank you. Gracias.
Gracias.